morning students. In this video we are going to see the revision of unit 1. In unit 1 we start with meaning of the word statistics. The word statistics is derived from the Latin word status or German word statistic or Italian word statistica, giving the meaning political state of a country. The meaning of the word statistics is political state of a country. And as a singular noun, the word statistics meaning is it is a method. If you move to plural noun, the meaning of the word statistics is data. So this is the meaning of the word statistics. The word statistics is derived from the Latin word status or German word statistic or Italian word statistica, giving the meaning political state of a country. As a singular noun, the word statistics means method, and as a plural noun, it is data. Next we move to the definition of statistics. There are different definitions of statistics. We move to the famous definition of statistics. Definition of statistics. The statistics is a science which deals with collection, classification. Statistics is a science which deals with collection, classification and tabulation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. Statistics is a science that deals with collection, classification, tabulation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. This is the definition of statistics. The important functions of statistics. What are the important functions of statistics? In our exam point of view, first we define the meaning of the word statistics. Next we move to the definition of statistics. Next the uses of statistics or functions of statistics. The main function of statistics, it is used to compare two or more series. It is used to compare two or more series of data. One of the most important function of statistics. Then the data are arranged in a well-defined manner. The data are arranged in a well-defined manner. The data are arranged in a well-defined manner, and a large amount of data are condensed. We are able to form the large amount of data in a table form. These are the most important functions of statistics. First point, it is used to compare two or more series of data. The data are arranged in a well-defined form and large amount of data are condensed. Next, they are used to find the trend value. So it is most used for the business. For the business format, we are able to find the trend values. Next, one of the most important function, it is used to test the hypothesis. And another one important function of statistics is used for future policies in the business. Used for predicting the future sales or production. It is used for future policies in the business. These are the important functions of statistics. It is used to compare two or more series of data. The data are arranged in a well-defined manner. A large amount of data are condensed. They are used to find the trend values. It is used to test the hypothesis. Used for future policies. So, in an examination point of view, first we saw the definition of statistics, meaning of statistics, function of statistics. Next we are going to see the scope of statistics. What are the scope of statistics? Scope of statistics, it is used in all the fields, whether it is business or agriculture or industry or in anthropology department or medicine or management or physical science, natural science, whatever may be the area, it has wide application. So in our examination point, they will be asking one question: the application of statistics in industry, agriculture, medicine, or all of the above. So it is a straightforward question. We need to answer all of the above. This is the scope of statistics. It is a wide application of statistics. Next, we move to the next topic: collection of data. Collection of data. So just now we define statistics. Statistics is science which deals with collection, classification, tabulation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. First and foremost thing is collection of data. Suppose we are doing any statistical survey, first what we need to do? We need to collect the data. In collection of data, there are two different methods: primary data, another one is secondary data. In collection of data, there are two different methods. First one is primary data, another one is secondary data. What is primary data? If we collect data directly from the source, we collect data directly from the source, then it is called as primary data. If we collect data from the previous records, then it is called as secondary data. Primary data means we are going to collect directly from the source or from the individuals from whom we are going to collect the data. It is called as primary data. If we are going to collect the data from the previous records, then it is called as secondary data. In collection of data, we are able to classify as primary data and secondary data. In primary data, we are having different methods of collecting primary data. What are the different methods of collecting primary data? Different methods of collecting primary data. So, first we saw what is primary data. We collect data directly from the source, it is called as primary data. There are 5 different methods of collection of primary data. First method is direct interview method. Direct interview method. We are going to collect data from the source directly. It is direct interview method. Second method is indirect oral interview method. Another one method of collecting primary data is indirect oral interview method. We use this case when the data we are going to collect is of personal character, or some people will not tell the truth about themselves. So what we are going to do? We are going to collect data from their neighbors or friends or who know about them very well. We are going to collect indirect oral interview method. That method is data collected through agents. We are going to appoint agents in different areas, and these agents collect data for us, which is followed in newspapers. For each and every area, we are going to appoint agents, and these agents are going to collect data for us. Fourth method is questionnaire mailed method. So in this method, what we are going to do? We are going to prepare a set of questions, and we are going to send them through mail, and we are going to receive the answers also through mail. We are going to prepare a set of questionnaire. Last method, schedules sent through enumerators. We are preparing a set of questions, and we are sending this set of questions through the agents or enumerators, and they collect data for us. These are the different methods of collecting the primary data. So now we are in the collection of data. In collection of data, we are having 2 different methods: primary data and secondary data. Primary data means data collected from the source directly. Secondary data means collected from the previous records. It may be newspapers, or it may be published sources, it from the government bodies or international bodies, whatever may be. Next, we are going to move to classification of data. After collecting the data, we need to classify the data. So in classification of data, we are going to arrange the data according to some common characteristics. Classification of data, we are going to arrange the data according to some common characteristics. So there are 4 different types of classification of data. First one is geographical classification. In geographical classification, we are going to classify according to area wise. If you classify data according to area wise, it is geographical classification. Next one, chronological classification. If you are going to classify the area according to year wise, it is chronological classification. Then qualitative classification. If you are classifying the data according to some characters or attributes, it is known as qualitative classification. As the name indicates, it is qualitative classification. Last method is quantitative classification. If you are classifying the data according to numbers or measurement, it is known as quantitative classification. These are the 4 important methods or 4 methods of classification of data. We are classifying the data according to some uniform characteristics. First method is geographical classification according to area wise. Next one, chronological classification, year wise. Next one, qualitative classification according to some attributes. Last one, quantitative classification according to the measurements. After classifying the data, what we need to do? We are going to form them in the form of a table. We are going to put them in the form of a table. Tabulation of data. We are going to arrange the data in the form of rows and columns. So in tabulation of data, what we should have? First, we should have a table number. A table should contain a number, table number. Then it should contain a title. Title is most important. A table should contain a title. Then stubs. What are stubs? Row headings are called as stubs. Row headings are called as stubs. And another one is column headings are called as captions. Column headings are called as captions. And body of the table. What are the important content in the table are represented in the body of the table. And we are having another one, head note. In head note, what we are going to represent? Some of the units which we need to represent. Suppose we are going to represent in rupees, we should represent the units in the head note. Then another one important content is source note. From where we have collected the data, we should put in the table source note, from where we have collected the data. These are the important contents in a table. A table should contain a table number, it should contain a heading, it is known as title. Stubs are called as, row headings are called as stubs, and column headings are called as captions, and body of the table, and head note, and source note. These are the important contents in the table. After classifying, we are putting the data in the form of table, and we are going to analyze the data. Analyze and interpret. These are the important concepts in statistics what we have defined. Next, we are going to move to measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency. So, in data, we are having 3 different types of data. One, diagrammatic and graphical representation. So that we are going to see diagrammatic and graphical representation. The advantages of diagrammatic and graphical representation. So anyone can be able to understand very easily about the data. Understand very easily. We can compare the data. These are the most important advantages of diagrammatic and graphical representation of the data. So in graphical representation and diagrammatic representation, there are different types of diagrams. So important graphical representation of data is, before moving to measures of central tendency, we can see is diagrammatic and graphical representation. So in graphical representation, one of the most important graph is Ogive curve. Ogive curve is also known as cumulative frequency curve. Cumulative frequency curve. There are two types of Ogive curve. One is known as less than Ogive curve, and another one is more than Ogive curve. So what is the importance of this cumulative frequency curve? It is able to locate median, quartiles, and deciles and percentiles. So it is able to locate the positional averages. Using Ogive curve, you are able to find the median value, quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. In graphical representation, we are having another one important graph. So in examination, they may be asking from Ogive curve one of the question. Using Ogive curve, we are able to locate what values. Another one important is histogram. Using histogram, we are able to locate the mode value. Using histogram, we are able to locate mode value. Pie diagram, it is also known as circular diagram. It can be classified into different components and it can be represented in percentage. Pie diagram are represented in percentage. Another one important diagram is Lorenz curve. Lorenz curve is used to represent the data in the form of distribution of wealth and income. If we are going to represent data in the form of distribution of wealth and income, we are going to use Lorenz curve. So these are the important concepts in diagrammatic and graphical representation. Next, we are going to move to measures of central tendency. What is measures of central tendency? It is a representative of the entire data. Measures of central tendency. First, we collected the data, then we classified, then we put them in the form of a table. For analyzing, we are going to use measures of central tendency. It is a representation of the entire data. Measures of central tendency is a representation of the entire data. There are 5 different types of measures of central tendency. First one, arithmetic mean, which is known as average. Arithmetic mean is the average. Second one, median. Median means middlemost observation. Median is the middlemost observation. Third one, mode. Mode is the value which occurs maximum number of times. Mode is the value which occurs maximum number of times or maximum frequency. Fourth one is geometric mean. Geometric mean is also average, and fifth one is harmonic mean. Geometric mean is used to find the average of ratios or proportions. When the data are in the form of ratios or proportions, to find the average we are using geometric mean. Last one is harmonic mean. It is also used to find the average of data when the data are given in the form of speed or distance. So these are the 5 important measures of central tendency. The most important measures of central is arithmetic mean. This is the best measures of central tendency because it contains the important points or important characteristics of the measures of central tendency. It is well defined. One of the important characteristics. Easy to understand arithmetic mean. It is most stable and is not affected by the extreme observations. These are the important properties of measures of central tendency. And it is used to represent in the algebraic treatment. So these are the important properties of measures of central tendency. Arithmetic mean is the best measures of central tendency. Next, we are going to move to find the relation between mean, median, and mode. What is the relation between mean, median, and mode? Relation is relation between mean, median, and mode. The relation is mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. This is the relation between mean, median and mode. Mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. Next, measures of dispersion. Measures of dispersion, another statistical concept used to find the deviation of the individual measures from the measures of central tendency. There are 4 important measures: range, second one quartile deviation, and third one mean deviation, last one standard deviation. These are the 4 important measures of dispersion. Standard deviation was invented by Paul Pearson. Among the 4 measures of dispersion means we are going to find the deviation from the measures of central tendency. Among the 4 measures of dispersion, standard deviation is the best measures of dispersion. Range means we are going to find the difference between the upper value and lower value. Difference between maximum observation and minimum observation. Quartile deviation is the difference between the half of the difference between the upper quartile and lower quartile. Mean deviation, deviation from the mean. Average deviation from the mean. Here we are going to give importance only to the absolute value. Standard deviation is the best measures of dispersion. Next we are going to move to measures of skewness. Skewness means what? Skewness means lack of symmetry. Measures of skewness. Skewness means lack of symmetry. So we know that for a symmetrical distribution, mean, median and mode are equal. If it is not symmetrical, we are going to measure using skewness. If mean is greater than mode, then positively skewed. If mode is greater than mean, then it is negatively skewed. The skewness means lack of symmetry. Skewness means lack of symmetry. For symmetrical distribution, mean, median and mode are equal. If both the sides have equal distance, it is symmetrical. If we have long tail towards the right hand side, then mean is greater than mode, then it is positively skewed. If you have long tail towards the left hand side, then mode is greater than mean, then it is negatively skewed. In a symmetrical distribution, for a symmetrical distribution, mean is equal to median is equal to mode. For a symmetrical distribution, mean, median and mode are equal. This comes under measures of skewness. So next we are going to kurtosis. Kurtosis. Kurtosis means bulginess. Kurtosis means bulginess. Using kurtosis, we are able to tell whether the curve is flat or peaked or it is a normal curve. When all the data are tends towards the modes, that we are going to use the kurtosis. When it is normal, it is known as mesokurtic. If it is more flat, then it is known as platykurtic. Peaked curve is known as leptokurtic. These are the different types of kurtosis. Kurtosis means bulginess. So in this video, what we have seen the important concepts of unit 1. First we told the meaning of statistics, then what we told collection, then classification, tabulation, then measures of central tendency, then diagram, measures of dispersion, skewness and kurtosis. We end with correlation and regression. What is correlation and regression? Correlation means the study of relation between 2 or more variables. The study of relation between 2 or more variables is known as correlation. Correlation coefficient always lies between -1 and +1. It is one of the important property of correlation. Correlation is independent of change of origin and scale. Independent of change of origin and scale. To estimate the unknown variable, we are using the concept known as regression. Regression means going back. The important properties of regression is the regression coefficients are independent of change of origin but not of scale. Independent of change of origin but not of scale. This is one of the important property of regression. And we are having two regression coefficients. Both the regression coefficients will have same sign. Both the regression coefficients will have same sign. Both the regression coefficients will have same sign. Another one important property. The third property of regression coefficient is if one of the regression coefficient is greater than unity, then another regression coefficient will be less than 1. Suppose bxy is less than 1, then byx is greater than 1. Another one important property of regression coefficient is if one of the regression coefficient is less than 1, then another regression coefficient is greater than 1, and the sign of both regression coefficients will be positive. Sign of both regression coefficients will be positive. So these are the important concepts that we have seen in Unit 1. If you like this video, you subscribe my channel and you share with your friends. Thank you, students. Thank you.